The ink was still wet on the contract when Anna looked up and met Addison's piercing green eyes across the polished oak table. In that moment, the fake marriage they had just sealed to fool Addison's powerful family and secure their places in the cutthroat New York media empire felt like the most dangerous gamble of their lives, because the spark between them had ignited long before the papers were signed. The lawyer cleared his throat, sliding the documents aside as the two women stood in the sleek Manhattan office overlooking Central Park. Addison Sinclair, the poised blonde heiress to Sinclair Media Group, adjusted her tailored blazer with a cool smile that didn't reach her eyes. "This is purely business, Anna. 5 years, public appearances only when necessary. No emotional entanglements. I get the CEO chair without my father forcing some suitable man on me, and you get the VP position and stock options that will make you untouchable. Simple." Anna Reyes, her dark hair pulled back in a professional bun, nodded, her mind racing with the ambition that had driven her from a modest Brooklyn background to this moment. She had spent years climbing the ranks at Sinclair, her sharp strategic mind turning around failing divisions. But the family board was conservative, whispering about Addison's independence, and pressuring her to marry to stabilize the image for investors who preferred traditional family values. The contract marriage between two women was a bold move, but in modern NYC it was acceptable as long as it looked stable. It fooled the family into thinking Addison was settled, and it gave Anna the power base she craved. "Agreed," Anna replied, her voice steady. "No complications." But as they left the office together for the first time as wives, heading to the penthouse Addison had arranged, the air between them crackled with unspoken tension. The doorman greeted them as Mrs. Sinclair and Mrs. Reyes Sinclair, and Anna felt a strange flutter. Over the next weeks they navigated the awkwardness of shared space without intimacy. Separate bedrooms, separate schedules. Addison threw herself into board meetings, Anna into acquisition strategies. Their first public outing was a charity gala, where they held hands for the cameras, smiling like the perfect power couple. "Keep it convincing," Addison whispered, her touch lingering a second too long. Anna pulled away, reminding herself this was for survival. Yet that night, alone in her room, she couldn't shake the way Addison's laugh had sounded genuine when they danced. The cause was clear. Ambition had brought them here, but the effect was a slow erosion of their walls. 2 months in, the first real test came at a family dinner in the Hamptons. Addison's father, the aging patriarch, grilled them on future plans while her mother watched with narrowed eyes. Anna played the devoted wife flawlessly, recounting a fabricated story about how they met at a strategy retreat. Addison's hand found hers under the table, a silent thank you that sent an unexpected warmth through Anna's veins. Back in the city, they clashed over a major acquisition deal. Anna pushed for aggressive expansion into digital streaming, a move that would elevate her profile but strain Addison's current division. "This isn't personal," Anna said coldly across the conference table. Addison's jaw tightened. "Everything is personal when it's my name on the line." The argument ended in silence, but the tension followed them home, thickening the air in the penthouse like an unspoken warning. Rivals like Victor Klein, the slick VP of operations, had already started circling, dropping hints at board meetings about unconventional leadership. Anna knew one slip, one real emotion showing, and the empire they were building could crumble. By the end of the first year, the contract had given them both exactly what they wanted on paper. Yet late at night, when Addison's light stayed on past midnight, Anna wondered if the price was already higher than either had calculated. The next morning, Anna woke to the sound of Addison in the kitchen, the clink of coffee mugs cutting through the quiet penthouse like a reminder of the fragile peace they maintained. The argument over the acquisition still lingered, but the board had approved Anna's plan anyway, handing her a promotion that made her the youngest VP in company history. She stepped into the open-plan living room to find Addison already dressed for the day, blonde hair perfectly styled, scrolling through market reports on her tablet. "Congratulations," Addison said without looking up, her tone neutral but her knuckles white around the mug. "Your move just cost my team 3 key accounts. Logical trade-off, I suppose." Anna poured her own coffee, refusing to apologize. "It positions us for the merger we've been chasing for months. You know the numbers." The cause and effect chain was ruthless. Anna's ambition fed the company's growth, but it chipped away at Addison's control, creating cracks that rivals could exploit. Victor Klein had sent her a private email the night before, probing for weaknesses in their perfect marriage. She deleted it, but the seed of paranoia took root. Over the following months, their public life as a couple deepened the illusion. They attended industry galas in Washington, where political donors mingled with media moguls. Addison's arm around Anna's waist felt less like performance and more like habit. One evening, after a tense networking dinner, they returned to the penthouse and collapsed onto the couch with wine. For the first time, Addison opened up about the family pressure that had forced the contract. The endless setups with eligible bachelors, the board's quiet threats to block her inheritance. Anna listened, sharing her own story of scraping by on scholarships while watching colleagues born into wealth climb faster. Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat the room felt smaller, the distance between them charged. Anna stood abruptly. "We can't let this get complicated." Addison nodded, but the hesitation in her voice betrayed her. Work rivalries escalated when Victor leaked internal memos questioning Addison's readiness for CEO, citing the distraction of their high-profile relationship. To counter it, Anna orchestrated a counter-campaign, using her new influence to secure a crucial investor vote. The victory came at a cost. Addison had to publicly defend her wife while privately watching her own project budget slashed. Jealousy flickered when Anna was photographed at a late-night strategy session with a female consultant. Addison confronted her in the penthouse, voice low and controlled. "If this marriage is going to hold, appearances matter." Anna shot back. "Then stop looking at me like that." The words hung between them, the first crack in their no-emotions rule. By the end of year 2, the empire was stronger than ever, stock prices climbing on their combined leadership. But the logical consequence was clear. Every step forward pulled them closer while forcing them to push harder apart. Late one night, Anna found an old contract draft in Addison's desk drawer. The margins filled with notes in Addison's handwriting. "Protect her." She closed the drawer quickly, heart pounding, refusing to name the feeling rising inside her. The merger talks in Washington stretched into week 3, turning their carefully balanced life into a pressure cooker of late-night calls and cross-country flights. Anna had pushed the risky acquisition that now sat before regulators, a deal that could double Sinclair Media's reach but required Addison to step back from her pet division to appease conservative investors wary of too much change too fast. In the hotel suite they shared for appearances, Addison paced while Anna reviewed spreadsheets. "You're asking me to sacrifice my team's morale for your headline," Addison said, the edge in her voice sharper than usual. Anna met her gaze evenly. "It's the only way we both survive the board vote next month. Cause and effect, Addison. You taught me that." The political maneuvering intensified when a senator's aide hinted that their visible lesbian marriage was drawing quiet backlash from key donors. To neutralize it, they agreed to a high-profile interview framing their union as a modern power partnership. On camera, Addison's hand rested on Anna's knee with practiced ease, but backstage the silence between them was heavy. That night, back in the suite, Addison poured 2 glasses of scotch. "I almost kissed you at the gala last year," she admitted quietly, the words slipping out like a confession. Anna froze, the admission mirroring the secret she had buried since the signing day. She changed the subject, steering them back to strategy, but the damage was done. The wall between business and feeling had thinned dangerously. Ambition demanded its price. Anna outmaneuvered a rival bidder by leaking just enough competitive intelligence to sway the regulators. A cold calculation that secured the deal, but left Addison's trusted deputy exposed and demoted. The deputy resigned the next day, sending Addison a scathing email that blamed the wife for corporate backstabbing. Addison confronted Anna in the penthouse at midnight, eyes flashing. "You used me as cover." Anna didn't deny it. "I protected the company, our company." The argument ended with Addison slamming her bedroom door. But the next morning she emerged composed, the professional mask back in place. The logical chain continued. Anna's move strengthened their joint position, yet it planted seeds of distrust that Victor Klein watered at every opportunity. During a weekend at the family estate, Addison's father pulled Anna aside. "You're good for her, but remember, this empire doesn't forgive weakness." Anna smiled through the warning, but inside she felt the weight of every decision. Back in New York, a late-night strategy session stretched into dawn. They sat side by side on the couch reviewing projections, shoulders brushing. Addison's voice softened. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we'd never signed those papers. Anna stood, heart racing. We can't afford to wonder. Yet the internal conflict raged. Ambition had delivered everything she dreamed of, but the growing pull toward Addison threatened to undo it all. By the close of year 3, the empire stood taller, their public image flawless. The hidden cost was the growing ache neither would name. The board vote loomed like a guillotine, forcing Anna and Addison onto opposite sides of the table for the first time publicly. Anna's proposal to restructure the digital division would consolidate power under her oversight, a logical next step after the merger's success, but it directly challenged Addison's long-term vision for creative autonomy. Victor Klein sat smirking in the back row, feeding anonymous tips to the press about tensions in the Sinclair marriage. In the hushed conference room, Anna presented her data with clinical precision while Addison countered with passion, their eyes locking in a silent war that mirrored the one raging privately. The vote split the board, and Anna's motion passed by a narrow margin. Addison's face remained composed, but Anna saw the betrayal in her eyes. That evening in the penthouse, the confrontation exploded. You didn't just win a vote, Addison said, voice trembling with controlled fury. You dismantled something I built because it served your ambition. Anna refused to flinch. I did what was necessary to keep us ahead. The board was ready to install Victor if we looked divided. The cause was ambition. The effect was the first irreparable fracture. Addison turned away, but not before Anna caught the glimmer of tears. For the first time since the contract, they slept in separate wings of the penthouse. Weeks later, during a quiet moment sorting old files, Anna discovered a sealed envelope in Addison's home office. A letter dated the day they signed the contract, never sent. In Addison's elegant script, I felt it the second our hands touched. I chose you because it was the only way to keep you close without admitting why. Anna's breath caught. The discovery hit like a revelation. The love had been mutual from the beginning, buried under layers of strategy and fear. She confronted Addison that night, the letter trembling in her hand. Addison read it once, then met Anna's gaze with raw honesty. I loved you the day we signed. I just couldn't let it destroy what we were building. The admission hung between them, heavy with years of denial. For one fragile hour they really talked about the spark, the fear, the impossible balance. But ambition's logic reasserted itself at dawn. We can't change course now, Anna whispered. Victor is closing in. Addison nodded, the walls rising again. But the truth had altered everything. The board fallout followed swiftly. Investors whispered about instability, stock dipped slightly. Anna's cold defense of her decision saved the quarter, but cost them an ally on the board. The power struggle had claimed its first permanent casualty, trust, and the realization of their love only made the losses sharper. Victor's blackmail arrived via encrypted email on a rainy Tuesday. Scanned copies of the original contract annotations proving the marriage was a calculated sham. Step aside on the CEO succession or the board sees everything, the message read. Anna stared at her screen in the penthouse office, the city lights blurring outside. Addison walked in, sensing the shift immediately. What is it? The truth spilled out. The rival had been gathering evidence for months, using their public closeness against them. Exposure would tank investor confidence, trigger family lawsuits, and hand Victor the throne. The logical response was survival. One of them had to sacrifice. Family pressure mounted when Addison's father called an emergency meeting at the estate, demanding assurances that the marriage was producing an heir narrative for the press. They performed flawlessly, but the drive home was silent. In private, the love they had finally named became a weapon. I won't let him destroy you, Addison said one night, pulling Anna close in a rare moment of unguarded affection. Anna pulled back, the cold calculation returning. If I take the fall publicly, you keep the company. That's the smart play. The argument stretched into dawn, each accusation rooted in the years of hidden feelings. External threats multiplied. A tabloid tip-off, a board leak, forcing them into increasingly desperate maneuvers. Anna leaked a minor internal memo to misdirect Victor, buying time but risking her own reputation. Addison countered by rallying loyalists, but the stress carved new lines around her eyes. The breaking point came during a gala where Victor cornered Anna. Your wife loves you more than the empire. Choose. Anna smiled for the cameras while her mind raced through scenarios, each one ending in loss. Back home, she found Addison waiting with the same haunted look. They sat on the balcony overlooking the skyline that had witnessed their entire journey. The contract's original spark now a roaring fire. We loved each other from day one, Anna said softly. And every decision since has been to protect that without admitting it. Addison reached for her hand. Then maybe protecting it means letting go of the power. The external threats closed in. Victor scheduled a special board session. But the internal war was the real battlefield. Ambition had delivered empires. Love demanded everything else. The cause and effect chain had led them here. Every cold decision to survive had only deepened the bond they could no longer deny. The boardroom crackled with tension as Victor presented his evidence. The fake marriage contract projected on the screen like a death sentence. Anna stood first, voice steady despite the pounding in her chest. The contract was strategic. The marriage became real. Addison rose beside her, their shoulders brushing in silent solidarity. The room erupted, gasps, whispers, phones recording. Victor smirked, expecting collapse. Instead, Anna laid out the years of growth their partnership had delivered. The logical proof that love and ambition had built something unbreakable. Addison followed with quiet power, revealing the mutual feelings from the signing day without flinching. The vote came down. The board, stunned by the authenticity, sided with them. Victor was outmaneuvered and later removed. But victory carried irreversible losses. Conservative investors pulled funding, stock dipped sharply, and Addison's father severed personal ties in a cold letter citing betrayal of family values. Anna's hard-won VP empire lost key allies, forcing painful restructures. They stood together on the penthouse balcony that night. The New York skyline unchanged yet everything different. The empire had shrunk but survived. Their love, no longer hidden, had cost them power yet given them something fiercer. Anna turned to Addison, fingers intertwined. We chose each other. Addison smiled through exhaustion. From the very first signature. In the end, the cold decisions that once defined them had reshaped into something honest. The empire endured in a leaner form. Their bond the only constant. Was it worth every scar? True or false? In a world of power and secrets, genuine love from the beginning is enough to justify every sacrifice made along the way.